Captain Jung Kim stood on the bridge of the Hanual*, looking at the stars through the main view screen. The Deep Space Research Vessel had been traveling for 3 years now, far from Earth. Their mission was simple: map this section of the Andromeda Galaxy and return home. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," said Dr. Hannah Park. Her fingers moved quickly over her science station controls. "An energy reading I've never seen before." June walked to her station. "Show me." Hannah pointed to a pulsing blue dot on her screen. "It's about 2 light days from here. The energy pattern doesn't match anything in our database." "Is it dangerous?" asked June. "Unknown," Hannah said. She looked up at him with bright eyes. "But we should check it out." June frowned. Their orders didn't include investigating unknown phenomena. They were supposed to stay on course, collect data, and return to Earth. But he had always trusted Hannah's judgment. "Minna, set a course," he ordered. Communications specialist Minna Lee nodded. "Yes, Captain." New course set. The Hanual* changed direction, its engines humming softly. The crew of 25 continued their work, but everyone felt the excitement. This was why they had joined the Deep Space program, to discover the unknown. 2 days later, they arrived at the coordinates. The bridge fell silent as they stared at the main screen. "What is that?" whispered June. Floating in the void of space was something massive. It wasn't quite solid, not quite energy. It looked like a giant, translucent cloud with ribbons of light flowing through it. The thing was at least 3 times the size of their ship. "Running scans now," said Hannah, her voice steady despite her obvious excitement. After a minute, she looked up in wonder. "Captain, it's alive." "Alive? Are you sure?" "The readings show organized energy patterns consistent with a living system. It has something like a metabolism. It's absorbing radiation from nearby stars. It has a boundary that separates it from space, and it's responding to our scans." June leaned forward. "It's aware of us." "I believe so," Hannah said. "This is incredible. A space-dwelling life form this size. Nothing like this has ever been recorded." "Is it a threat?" asked Security Chief Da Kang, hand resting on his console. "No aggressive movements or energy spikes," Hannah replied. "It's just existing. We should collect all the data we can and continue our mission," June decided. "Minna, prepare tow." The lights on the bridge flickered. Warning alarms sounded throughout the ship. "What's happening?" June demanded. Engineer Ta Kwan's voice came over the comm. "Captain, we're experiencing power fluctuations throughout the ship. The engines are dropping to emergency levels." "Is it the entity?" June asked Hannah. She studied her readings. "I'm not sure. The fluctuations began when we started to move away." "Try again, Ha. Full power to engines," ordered June. The Hanual* shuddered. The lights dimmed again, then stabilized at half brightness. "No good, Captain," Tay reported. "Something is interfering with our power systems. We're stuck here unless I can figure out what's wrong." June looked at the view screen again. The entity had grown slightly brighter, its internal lights moving faster. "It doesn't want us to leave," Hannah said softly. Dr. Jinyu, the ship's medical officer, joined them on the bridge. "Or maybe it's just curious about us, like we are about it." June took a deep breath. "All right. We stay and study it while Tai works on the engines, but we maintain full shields and weapons on standby." As the crew began their new tasks, Jung couldn't shake the feeling that they had found something that would change everything. Whether for better or worse, he didn't know. "Hannah," he said quietly, "what do you think it is?" She looked at the beautiful, strange thing on the screen. "I think it's lonely, Captain. I think it's been out here a very long time." June nodded slowly. Something told him she was right. And somehow, that made the entity even more mysterious and more frightening. 3 days had passed since the Hanual* encountered the strange entity in space. The ship remained unable to leave, its engines still affected by unknown forces. Captain June had ordered a continuous watch on the glowing, translucent being that floated outside their ship. Minna Lee sat at her communication station, rubbing her tired eyes. For hours, she had been tracking unusual patterns in the ship's systems. At first, she thought they were just random power failures. Now, she wasn't so sure. "Captain," Minna called. "I think you should see this." June walked over to her station. "What is it?" Minna pointed to her screen. "These patterns keep repeating. Look here and here. They're too regular to be random. I think it's trying to talk to us." "The entity?" June asked, his eyes widening. "Yes, these aren't system failures. They're attempts at communication." Dr. Hana joined them, excitement clear on her face. "If it's intelligent enough to try to communicate, this changes everything." June nodded slowly. "Can you respond, Minna?" "I'm not sure how yet, but I'm working on it." For the next 2 days, Minna barely left her station. She tracked every pattern, every pulse of energy that flowed through the ship's systems. Slowly, she began to see a structure, something like a language. On the morning of the 6th day, Minna called the senior crew to the bridge. "I've done it," she said, her voice quiet but proud. "I've created a translation algorithm. It's basic, but I think it will work." "How?" asked Ta, the engineer. "The entity communicates through energy patterns. Our computers can send similar patterns back. It's like talking with electricity." June looked at his tired communications specialist with respect. "Let's try it." Minna typed a simple message into her system. "We are humans. We come in peace." The ship's lights flickered as the message was sent. Everyone held their breath. Moments later, the main screen lit up with a response. "I am Sesu. I am alone. You are many." "Interesting." The bridge crew stared in amazement. "It worked," Hannah whispered. Minna sent another message. "Why do you keep us here?" The response came faster this time. "Not keep. Learn. Long time alone. Forgot how to speak GNTLI. Sorry." "It's apologizing," said Dr. Jin. "It didn't mean to trap us." June leaned forward. "Ask it what it is." Minna typed the question. The answer that appeared on the screen was longer. "I am Elest. My kind lived when stars were young. We float. We learn. We share. My home star died. I drifted. Very long. Very alone. It's the last of its species," Hannah said softly. "And it's been alone for who knows how long." They continued the exchange, learning more with each message. Sue explained that it existed as an energy-based consciousness. It had been drifting through space since its home star system collapsed, which, based on its description, might have been thousands or even millions of years ago. "Ask about you," came a new message from Sue. "What is human?" The crew looked at each other. "How do we even begin to answer that?" asked De, the security chief. "Simply," said June. He nodded to Minna. She typed, "Humans are flesh and blood. We live on a planet called Earth. We are explorers who want to learn about the universe." There was a pause before Sue responded. "Flesh, blood, linnet, but mine's bright. I sense many thoughts. Complex, beautiful." Hannah gasped. "It can sense our thoughts." A new message appeared. "Not thoughts. Presence. Many energies together, like stars in kilo used here. Beautiful PTTRN." Minna looked up at her captain. "I think it's sensing our neural activity. Our brains working together." "Captain," Hannah said, her voice filled with wonder. "We've just made first contact with an ancient non-corporeal life form. This is the greatest discovery in human history." June nodded, but his face remained serious. And now we need to figure out how to communicate better and how to get our ship moving again. As if in response, a new message appeared. I can help. I can share. We can understand together. None of them knew yet what that offer would mean for their future or for humanity's. The next day, Captain June called a meeting in the ship's conference room. All senior crew members sat around the table, faces serious. Sue has made a proposal, June said. I want everyone to hear it before we decide anything. Minna nodded and tapped her tablet. Sue's latest message appeared on the wall screen. I can join with you, temporary, my energy with your body. Share minds. Learn each other. Then CPARE. No harm. It's suggesting some kind of symbiosis, Hannah said, leaning forward. Absolutely not. Dr. Jinyu stood up, shaking his head firmly. We have no idea what joining with an energy being might do to a human body. It could kill someone. But think about what we could learn, Hannah argued. Sue has existed for thousands, maybe millions of years. The knowledge it must have. Knowledge isn't worth dying for, Jin said. Todd Kwan, the engineer, had been quiet until now. I might be able to fix our engines if I understood more about how Sue's energy affects them. And Sue says the joining is temporary. It's too dangerous, Dai said, backing up Jin. We don't know if this thing is telling the truth. Captain June looked around the table. We need more information. They returned to the bridge and sent new questions to Sue. The entity explained that it had formed symbiotic relationships with other species in its long past. The process was simple. Sue would partially merge its energy field with a host for a short time, allowing a sharing of knowledge and experience. The connection would last only minutes, and then Sue would withdraw. Ask if there are risks, Jin demanded. Minna sent the question. Sue's answer was straightforward. Different minds, different bodies, always risky, but I control energy. Give little, take little. Safer. The debate continued for hours. Finally, Captain June made his decision. No one will be ordered to do this. It's too unknown. But if someone volunteers, I won't stop them. The room fell silent. Then Tai stood up. I'll do it. Tai. No, Jin protested. I'm the engineer. I need to fix the ship. This might be the fastest way to learn how. June looked at him seriously. Are you sure? Ta nodded. Yes, Captain. Despite Jin's continued objections, they made preparations. Ta lay on a bed in the medical bay, connected to monitors that would track his vital signs. Hannah and Jin stood nearby, ready to help if anything went wrong. Jun gave the final approval. Minna sent the message to Sue. We accept. One human will join with you briefly. Ta closed his eyes. The lights in the medical bay dimmed slightly. Then, a thin stream of glowing blue energy flowed through the wall, like water finding its way through tiny cracks. The blue light hovered over Ta for a moment, then slowly lowered onto him. His body tensed, then relaxed. The monitors showed his heart rate increasing, but still in safe range. For 3 minutes, Ta lay still, the blue glow covering him like a blanket. Then the light withdrew, flowing back through the wall to the entity outside. Ta's eyes snapped open. He sat up quickly. Are you okay? Jin asked, checking the monitors. I'm more than okay, Ta said. His eyes were wide, his voice filled with wonder. I saw. I understood. What? Hannah asked eagerly. What did you learn? Ta looked at her, then at Captain June. I know how to fix the engines now. But that's not all. He took a deep breath. I learned about spatial physics that would have taken humans centuries to discover on our own. He grabbed a tablet and began drawing complex diagrams and equations. The others watched in amazement. This could change everything, Hannah whispered. This could advance human science by hundreds of years. Captain Jun looked at the excited engineer with a mix of hope and worry. And what did Sue learn from you? Todd paused, thinking. It was curious about human emotions. It seemed surprised by them, especially by how strongly we feel them. No one noticed that Tay's hands were shaking slightly as he continued to write. 2 days after his symbiosis with Sue, Ta worked nonstop in the engine room. His hands moved with new confidence as he rewired systems and reprogrammed the ship's computers. The rest of the engineering team watched in amazement. He's working at twice his normal speed, one engineer whispered to another. And he's doing things I've never seen before. Captain Jun and Dr. Hannah came to check on his progress. How's it going, Tai? Jun asked. Tai didn't look up from his work. Almost done, Captain. I've redesigned the power distribution system. It will now work with Sue's energy field instead of fighting against it. That's remarkable, Hannah said, studying his work. How did you learn to do this? Sue showed me, Tai replied. Its species has been traveling through space for millions of years. They understand energy in ways we never imagined. Jun nodded, impressed but cautious. Just don't push yourself too hard. Ta smiled. I feel fine, Captain. Better than fine, actually. I feel. Suddenly, Tai dropped his tools. His body went stiff. His eyes rolled back in his head, and he fell to the floor, shaking violently. Medical emergency in engineering. Jun shouted into his comm. Jin, get down here now. Dr. Jin and 2 medical assistants arrived within minutes. They rushed Ta to the medical bay on a stretcher. Jin scanned Ta's brain as the seizure continued. What's happening to him? Jun demanded. Jin stared at the screen, his face pale. His neural activity is off the charts. I've never seen anything like this. Is it from the symbiosis with Sue? Hannah asked. It must be, Jin said, giving Ta medication to stop the seizure. I warned everyone this was dangerous. The seizure finally stopped, but Ta remained unconscious. Jin continued running tests, his face growing more confused with each result. This doesn't make sense, he muttered. What is it? Jun asked. His brain isn't deteriorating like I would expect after such a massive seizure. It's changing. New neural pathways are forming at an incredible rate. Is that good or bad? Hannah asked. Jin shook his head. I don't know, but it's not normal. Captain Jun stormed out of the medical bay and onto the bridge. Mina, contact Sue Mao. Tell it what happened to Ta. As Mina sent the message, the ship's lights flickered urgently. A response appeared on the screen immediately. Sorry. Mistake. Did not know human brain limits. Can help. Can fix. Why should we trust you? Jun demanded through Mina's communication system. You did this to him. Not in TND harm. Human brain. Tried to process too much. I can help stabilize. Don't listen to it, Captain, Jin said, entering the bridge. We can't risk another symbiosis. As they argued, Mina interrupted. Captain, there's more coming in from Sue. The message read, Tei Che Hang Jing, not Diwang. Brain EVOLVANG2, hand deal any do no elegy. But T fast, dangerous. I can silo puro CS. Make safe. Hannah looked at Jin. Could that be true? Could his brain be evolving rather than being damaged? Jin hesitated. The readings do show growth rather than decay. But it's happening too quickly for his body to handle. Jun faced a terrible choice. Trust the entity that caused this problem, or rely on their own limited understanding of what was happening to Ta. What about his work in engineering? Dai asked, joining them. Did he finish the repairs? Not completely, Jun said. So we're still stuck here, and now one of our crew is dying, Dai said grimly. Hannah looked at the view screen where Sue floated, its lights pulsing faster than before. I don't think Sue meant for this to happen. It seems genuinely sorry. Sorry doesn't help Tide, Jin said. Another message appeared. Please, let me help you. Human brain. Fascinating. Different from other species I have known. Did not you understand? Now I do. Can fix. June looked around at his senior crew. They had to decide whether to trust Sue again with their friend's life. Tay's monitors began to alarm in the medical bay. Time was running out. Alarms continued to sound in the medical bay. Tay's body shook with another seizure, weaker than the first but still dangerous. We're out of time, Dr. Jin said. We need to decide now. Captain June looked at his senior crew. Opinions. I don't trust it, Daz said firmly. But I don't see another option. Hana nodded. I think Sue is telling the truth. It wants to help. Jin sighed. As a doctor, I have to admit I don't know how to treat this. Tay's brain is doing things I've never seen before. Then we accept Sue's help, Jun decided. But not with Ta. It's too risky to connect again with someone already affected. Then who? Minna asked. Tay stepped forward. I'll do it. Security is my job. Protecting the crew is my responsibility. Are you sure? June asked. No, Dai admitted. But someone has to do it. They quickly set up the medical bay. Dad lay on a bed next to Ta. Jin connected him to monitors and stood ready with emergency medications. We need strict time limits, Jin insisted. No more than 2 minutes of connection. June nodded and had Mina send the message to Sue. The entity agreed to the terms. Ready? June asked Da. The security chief took a deep breath. Ready, Captain. Like before, a stream of blue energy entered the room and hovered over Da. But this time, everyone watched more carefully. The blue light touched Da gently, covering him like a thin blanket. Day's body tensed, then relaxed. His eyes moved rapidly behind closed lids, as if dreaming. Jin watched the clock. 1 minute. Hannah watched the monitor showing both men's brain activity. Look at that. Their patterns are synchronizing. A soft blue glow began to appear around Tay too, connecting him to Da with a thin thread of light. It's creating some kind of link between them, Minna whispered. 1 minute 30 seconds, Jin said. Suddenly, Tai's seizures stopped. His breathing became steady. The wild spikes on his brain monitor calmed into a more normal pattern. It's working, Hannah said, amazed. 2 minutes, Jin announced. Time to end it. The blue light slowly pulled away from both men, retreating back through the wall to Sue. Da's eyes opened immediately. He sat up, blinking. Are you okay? Jun asked. Yes, Da said. His voice sounded normal, but his eyes held a new depth. It was incredible. What happened? What did you see? Hannah asked eagerly. Sue showed me its history. Its species once lived throughout many galaxies. They were explorers, knowledge seekers. They formed peaceful connections with hundreds of different species. And Ta? Jin asked, checking the engineer's vital signs. We created what Sue calls a neural bridge, Dad explained. Sue helped me connect with Ta's mind. Together, we slowed down the changes in his brain. The knowledge is still there, but now his brain can adapt to it gradually, safely. As if on cue, Ta stirred and opened his eyes. He looked confused but calm. How do you feel? Jin asked him. Like I had a weird dream, Ta said. But I still remember everything Sue taught me. June looked at Da. And what did Sue learn from you? Day thought for a moment. It was fascinated by human emotions, especially our sense of duty and self-sacrifice. The concept of risking yourself to save others was new to it. New? Hannah asked. After millions of years of existence. Sue's species didn't have the same emotions we do, Dad explained. They were more logical. The strength of human feelings surprised it. Will Ta be okay now? June asked Jin. The doctor checked his readings. His brain activity is still elevated, but stable. I think he'll be fine. Then it worked, Jun said. Sue kept its word. But Day's face had grown serious. Captain, there's something else. Something important that Sue showed me. Something we all need to know. What is it? Jun asked. It's about why Sue is the last of its kind, Daz said. And it affects the future of all humanity. Captain Jun called all senior crew to the conference room. Ta had recovered enough to join them, though he still moved carefully. Day stood at the front, ready to share what he had learned from Sue. What Tay experienced during his symbiosis was just a small part of what Sue knows. Day began. Sue contains the collected knowledge of thousands of civilizations spanning billions of years. Thousands? Hannah asked, her eyes wide. How is that possible? Sue's species was uniquely able to preserve memories and knowledge, Day explained. When they met new species, they formed symbiotic connections and learned everything they could. They became like living libraries of the universe. And Sue is the last one? Minna asked. Day nodded. Yes. And that's the part we need to worry about. He tapped a screen, displaying a simple star map he had drawn. Sue showed me this. Its kind didn't die naturally. They were hunted down and destroyed by something Sue calls the calculators. The calculators? Jun asked. What are they? A machine intelligence, Day said grimly. Created long ago by some forgotten species. These machines evolved beyond their creator's control. They developed one core belief, that organic life is inefficient and dangerous. The room fell silent as everyone took in this information. These machines have spent millennia moving through the galaxies, finding and eliminating advanced spacefaring species, Day continued. They particularly targeted Sue's kind because they shared knowledge with others, helping civilizations advance quickly. Are these calculators still out there? Jin asked, his voice quiet. Yes, Day confirmed. And according to Sue's calculations, they are approximately 300 years from reaching Earth. The room erupted in shocked voices. Captain Jun raised his hand for silence. Are you certain about this? He asked Da. As certain as Sue is, Day replied. It has been tracking their movements for thousands of years while hiding from them. Ta spoke up, his voice stronger now. This matches fragments I saw during my symbiosis. There was something dark coming, something mechanical and cold. We need to warn Earth, Minna said urgently. Even if we left now, it would take us 15 years to return, Judd reminded them. And who would believe us without proof? Sue is the proof, Hannah said. It witnessed the destruction of countless civilizations. But we can't take Sue to Earth, Jin pointed out. It's huge, and we don't know if it can even survive in our solar system. Todd looked thoughtful. Maybe not in its current form. But from what I learned about its nature, Sue might be able to change its form. What do you mean? Jun asked. Sue exists as energy, right? Ta said. Energy can be contained, transferred. Maybe we could take a part of it with us. Hannah's eyes lit up. Like a sample. A piece of Sue to prove what we've discovered. I'm not sure Sue can be divided like that, Dad said. When we connected, it felt like a single, unified consciousness. The crew debated options while Tai sat quietly, thinking. Finally, he spoke again. I think there's another possibility. Something Sue showed me about how its kind used to travel between stars. Everyone turned to look at him. What if Sue could join with our ship itself? Ta suggested. Not just with one of us, but with the asterisk Handul asterisk as a whole. Join with the ship? Jun asked, surprised. Is that possible? Theoretically, Ta said. The ship has systems somewhat like a nervous system. If Sue could integrate with those systems, it would transform the asterisk Handul asterisk, Hannah realized. Into what? Into something more than a ship, Ta said. Something that could travel faster, farther. Something that could get us home in time to warn Earth. Captain Jun considered this idea. We should ask Sue if this is possible. They returned to the bridge. Mina sent their question to the entity outside. The answer appeared quickly. Yes, possible. Have DUNBFORE with other species vessels, but bigger CHANG than human symbiosis. More permanent. Need all AGRE. The crew looked at each other. The enormity of the choice before them was clear. They had found both humanity's greatest opportunity and its greatest warning. Now they had to decide what to do with this knowledge. We need time to think, Joan told Sue. This decision affects not just us, but potentially all of humanity. Understand, Sue replied. We'll wait. But me mbr. Time passes. CALTULATORS move. The next morning, Captain June sat alone in his quarters. He stared at the small photo of Earth on his desk. After 20 years in space, his home planet looked both familiar and strange. Now he held its future in his hands. A knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. Come in, he called. Mina entered, looking tired but excited. Captain, I've restored communications with Earth. The damage to our systems is fixed enough to send messages. Good work, June said. But at this distance, how long until we get a response? About 6 months each way, Mina replied. A year total for a single exchange. June sighed. This complicated things further. Even if they sent a warning now, it would be a year before they received instructions. And those instructions would come from people who hadn't met Sue, who hadn't seen what they had seen. Call the senior crew to the bridge, he decided. When everyone had gathered, June laid out their options. Option 1. We fixed the ship using conventional methods, which Tai says could take months. Then we begin the 15-year journey home. By the time we arrive and convince Earth's governments of the threat, many precious years will be lost. He paused, looking at each crew member. Option 2. We accept Sue's help to repair our ship quickly, but keep our distance afterward. We'd still face the long journey home. What about option 3? Tai asked quietly. We allow Sue to join with the Handul asterisk. That's not in our mission parameters, Dad pointed out. We're supposed to follow Earth Command's protocols. Earth Command never anticipated first contact with a being like Sue, Hannah argued, or learning about a threat like the calculators. Jin looked worried. We still don't fully understand what joining with the ship would mean for us. The crew. I asked Sue for more details, Ta said. It says the process would be gradual. The ship would change physically, becoming partially organic. It would gain new abilities, including faster-than-light travel. Faster than light. June was shocked. That's impossible according to our physics. Not according to Sue's physics, Tai replied. Its species mastered this technology millions of years ago. What would happen to us? Jin asked. The human crew. Ta hesitated. Sue says we would have the option to form limited connections to the ship ourselves. Nothing as intense as full symbiosis, but enough to help control the new systems. The debate continued for hours. Some crew members were excited by the possibilities, others fearful of the unknown. Captain June listened to all sides. Finally, he stood up. This decision affects everyone on this ship. I won't make it alone. We'll vote. Mina set up a private voting system. All 25 crew members would have their say. While they waited for the results, Jun sent a detailed message to Earth explaining everything they had discovered. He knew the response would come too late to help them decide, but Earth deserved to know what had happened if they never returned. 3 hours later, the votes were counted. Mina displayed the results on the main screen. Return using conventional methods, 2 votes. Accept Sue's help for repairs only, 8 votes. Allow Sue to join with the ship, 15 votes. The majority has chosen option 3, Jum announced. He looked around at his crew. Are we all prepared to accept this decision? Even those who had voted differently nodded. They were a team, a family. They would face this together. Then it's decided, Jun said. We'll begin preparations immediately. He turned to Minna. Tell Sue we accept its offer. Ask how we should proceed. As Minna sent the message, Jun felt the weight of command more heavily than ever before. They were about to cross a line that no humans had ever crossed. Their ship, their bodies, perhaps even their minds would never be the same. But if they succeeded, they might save humanity from a threat it didn't even know existed yet. Captain, Minna called. Sue is responding. They all turned to the screen as Sue's message appeared. Thank you for curiosity. We'll note DISA point. Prepare for any view together. The preparations took 3 days. Tai and his engineering team worked around the clock, following Sue's instructions to modify key systems throughout the ship. Dr. Jin prepared the crew with medical checks and mental exercises that Sue suggested would help them adapt. On the morning of the 4th day, everyone gathered in the main hall. Captain Jun stood before them. Today we make history, he said. No humans have ever attempted what we are about to do. I'm proud of all of you for your courage. He nodded to Minna, who sent the final message to Sue. We are ready. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, tendrils of blue light began to seep through the walls of the ship. Unlike the focused beam that had connected with Tai and Dai before, this light spread everywhere, flowing like water into every corner of the Hannual asterisk. Don't be afraid, Jun told his crew as the light reached their feet. Remember what we discussed. Open your minds, but maintain your sense of self. The blue light touched each person gently. Some gasped, some smiled. No one seemed to be in pain. The light continued to spread, covering the floors, walls, and ceiling until the entire ship glowed from within. Then the physical changes began. The metal walls softened slightly, taking on a more organic texture. The lights changed from harsh white to a warm, living blue. The constant mechanical hum of the engines shifted to a sound more like calm breathing. It's beautiful, Hana whispered. As the ship transformed around them, each crew member felt a light touch in their mind. It wasn't invasive or controlling. It felt more like a gentle question, asking permission to connect. Those who had agreed to the deeper connection, including all the senior crew, felt a warm presence enter their thoughts. It wasn't Sue's full consciousness. That would have been too much for a human mind to handle, but a carefully limited connection, like a communication channel opening. Hello Sue's thoughts came to them. Thank you for your trust The feeling was strange but not unpleasant. They could still feel themselves, their own thoughts and feelings. But now they could also sense the ship around them in a new way, as if it had become an extension of their bodies. I can feel the engines, Ta said in wonder. I don't just know they're working, I can feel them working. I can sense the stars outside, Hana added, even through the hull. Dr. Jin monitored everyone's vital signs through his new connection to the ship's systems. All readings are stable, he reported. Heart rates elevated but within normal range. Brain activity increased but balanced. The transformation continued for several hours. When it finally stopped, the Hannual asterisk looked both familiar and new. The basic layout remained the same, but everything had a slightly organic quality now. Surfaces responded to touch, adjusting their temperature and texture for comfort. Lights brightened or dimmed based on the crew's needs without needing verbal commands. Captain Jun walked to the bridge, which had changed the most. The hard chairs had become living seats that adapted to each person's body. The view screen now wrapped around them in a semicircle, showing a perfect image of space outside. Status report, Jun said. All systems functioning at 300% efficiency, Tae reported, his eyes closed as he communed with the ship's engines. Power levels are off the charts. We have capabilities I don't even have names for yet. Life support is perfect, Jin added. The air is cleaner than it's ever been. Communications are enhanced, Minna said. We can now send messages that will reach Earth in days instead of months. "And our new propulsion system?" Jun asked. "Ready," Ta said with a smile. "We can reach Earth in less than a week." Dr. Hana sat at her science station, her face filled with wonder. "Captain, I've made an interesting discovery. The human mind seems to stabilize Su's energy matrix. Our neural patterns create a structure that helps it maintain form. This isn't just helping us. We're helping it too." "A truly symbiotic relationship," Jun said. "Neither side could achieve this alone." He felt the ship respond to his thoughts, ready to follow his commands without the need for words. "Set course for Earth," he said. "Let's go home and warn our people." The stars outside began to blur as the Handul accelerated to speeds no human ship had ever achieved before. 5 days later, the transformed Handul appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. Earth's space defense systems immediately went on high alert. The ship looked like nothing they had ever seen before, part machine, part living organism, glowing with soft blue light. "Multiple weapon systems are targeting us," Day reported calmly from his security station. "They're scared," Captain Jun said. "We would be too." Minna opened a channel to Earth Command. "This is the research vessel Handul Captain Jun Kim commanding. We are returning from deep space with critical information." There was a long pause before a reply came. Handul "You're not due back for 17 more years. And our scans show your ship has been altered." "Yes, sir," Jun replied. "We have made first contact with an alien intelligence. Our ship has been transformed through symbiosis with this entity. We come with urgent information about a threat to Earth." "Stand by," came the terse reply. For the next 12 hours, the crew waited as Earth's governments debated what to do. Military ships surrounded them, but did not fire. Finally, they received new orders. A small team would be allowed to land and explain their situation in person. Jun selected his landing party: himself, Hana, Tai, and Jin. They took a shuttle down to Earth Command Headquarters, where they were met by armed guards and a room full of government officials from every major nation. "Your message mentioned a threat," the head of Earth Defense said without preamble. "Explain." Jun took a deep breath and told them everything. Finding Su, learning about the calculators, the symbiosis, and their transformed ship. As he spoke, the officials looked increasingly disturbed. "You allowed your bodies and ship to be taken over by an alien entity," one woman asked, horrified. "Not taken over," Hana corrected. "We formed a partnership. We remain human with our own thoughts and choices, but now we're connected to something greater." "Show them," Jun said quietly. One by one, the landing party demonstrated their enhanced abilities. Ta manipulated the room's electronic systems with just his thoughts. Jin diagnosed a man's heart condition just by looking at him. Hana described the composition of distant stars with perfect accuracy. "We've evolved," Jun explained, "but we're still human where it matters most, in our hearts and in our loyalty to Earth." The officials whispered among themselves. Some looked frightened, others intrigued. The head of defense stepped forward again. "Even if we believe you about these calculators, 300 years is a long time. Why should we upend our society now?" "Because preparation will take generations," Jun said. "The calculators have destroyed thousands of civilizations more advanced than ours. Our only hope is to evolve beyond what we are now." "By all becoming like you?" someone asked. "Not necessarily," Jun replied. "That's a personal choice. But the knowledge Su brings, that we need to share, it could transform our technology, our understanding of the universe. And these changes would help us against the calculators." "Yes," Ta said confidently. "Su knows their weaknesses. With enough time, we can prepare defenses they won't expect." The discussions continued for days. Scientists, military leaders, and government officials all wanted to see the transformed Handul and meet its crew. Some were suspicious, others eager to learn. Meanwhile, word spread around the world. People reacted with a mix of fear, wonder, and hope. Many were afraid of change, of losing what made them human. Others saw the potential for solving Earth's most pressing problems with this new knowledge. 1 month after their return, Earth's United Council made their decision. They would accept the HFY crew's offer to share Sue's knowledge. A special facility would be built where volunteers could learn from them in carefully controlled stages. The night after the announcement, Captain June stood on a balcony overlooking the city. Hannah joined him, her face glowing faintly blue in the darkness. "Do you think they'll ever fully accept us?" she asked. "In time," June said. "Change is always frightening, but humans are remarkably adaptable. It's our greatest strength." Above them, the transformed HFY passed overhead, a new star moving across the night sky, a symbol of humanity's first step toward transcendence. "We're not just human anymore," Hannah said. "But we're not just Sue either. We're something new. Something better," June said with a smile. "Something that might just survive what's coming."